Garlic. It's one of those easy crops. You plant it in the fall, you mulch it over to protect it from the bitter cold temperatures of winter, and then you harvest it come summer. But what happens when you get those unseasonable temperatures during what's supposed to be winter, where it hits the mid-60s and then drops back down within a matter of hours and freezes out your garlic again? Do you see shoots popping up and you're looking at it and saying, what am I supposed to do? I found myself in that same situation. Now, both my garlic outside in a raised bed and pots and in my garage are showing the same sign. They've sprouted. Some of them are up to 1.5 feet long, and it's not even started the true winter we have coming. So what do? We're going to go and look at what I've got going on in my situation and discuss whether or not there's anything that can be done. Hey guys, it's your boy Big Wheel Dog 82 in the soil, and it is now 2026. So before I even get started here, Happy New Year's to everybody and best wishes going forward until next year. But we're here in the beginning of the year, and right now, as you know, it's winter. Nothing's growing, nothing's going outside except the garlic. Now, like I said in the intro, we've had warm temperatures that spiked into the 60s, and that did a number to both my outside garlic and my inside garlic. Outside, they've sprouted. They're showing up through the leaf mold that I put on top of them and underneath the tarp. And if they're doing it out there, they're definitely doing it in my green stock and the little cells that I went ahead and planted with you guys on camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys what's going on with them, and then maybe figure out what we're going to do about it, if there's anything we can do about it at all. Here is the entirety of the garlics that I've put into containers temporarily, just to winter them over. I ran out of room, so this is my backup plan. Now, as you can see, so many of these have already sprouted. I mean, these ones are by far the tallest, then these, then some of these. And the reason there's a difference is because some of these were planted earlier. Like these ones here were planted December the 6th. These ones here were planted December the 21st. These ones were on the 8th. And some of these were on the 9th. Now, these are all soft necks, and the vast majority of these are all the hard necks. I am kind of surprised though, there is a difference between the variety. These ones are a purple stripe, this purple stripe, and all of these are purple stripe. And all of them except for 3 of the purple stripes, one done on the 9th, one done on the 6th, and a second one done on the 9th, have not sprouted. Now, ones that are the shortest, yes, even though they were planted on the 8th, I've got at least half of them that are barely up, which are these called Leningrads, where you can see it hasn't broke the surface yet. This one's just starting to, but these 3 here obviously have. Now the question is, what do I do about it? Because my raised bed, the pots that I have in there, they have also sprouted. Most of them are actually looking like these, and they actually have darker green leaves on them already because they were outside while it was 60 plus degrees for about almost a week, and I had taken the tarp off of them. But now that it's dropped down and it's below freezing, I'm kind of worried about those, but not nearly as much as these ones. I've got three options. The first option, since most of these are hard neck, I could try to find a gap in my garage door where there's a steady cold breeze blowing through and sit these all right there in hopes that it always stays below freezing from here on until, you know, we get closer to spring, and it keeps them cold enough that they go dormant. But I will say my green stalks are, at least some of the pockets are twice the length of this one, and there's nothing I can really do about it, and they are right in front of the garage door. Now I want to be taking videos of the ones that are in bigger pots in the garage as well as the green stalk, so you guys can get a really good idea of what's going on. But this is what's happening to everybody's garlic, at least that's up north here and it has experienced that extra long fall we had that was really warm, and then this surge of warmth that we've gotten in December. This is what they're doing. They're confused. I'm confused, but I know something needs to be done. So let's go out there into the garage and we'll show you the other ones that are out there, and then maybe come back in and discuss a little bit more what's, you know, what our possible directions we have are. So here's an example of one of my pots. Never mind the grass that's growing in here from the stupid straw. It's supposed to be 99% seed free, my behind. So let's get these out the way so it's easier for you guys to see which is the garlic. So we've got a garlic stem here, and we have a garlic stem here, as well as here. So yeah, and these have been outside in the garage the whole time, and even though the garage does sort of kind of regulate the temperatures out here, it obviously isn't as cold as it should have been. So these are sprouting. So this is going to be a problem, but I can always move these outdoors if need be, if it's not going to be too cold. Or I'm not really worried about the cold itself. It's more trying to make sure it's going to be cold and dry. I just don't want any water to get down to the roots and then freeze them out, but I also don't want the entire bucket of soil to freeze either. So we've got some things to figure out, but one way or another we'll get it figured. Garage, and yeah, you see all of the garlic that's sprouted all the way around, and the second tier is exactly like this one. Some of these have not, which I'm happy about, but they're on the verge. Like this one right here is on the verge. So what I'm going to do is turn this around the other way, because maybe the cold being up against the garage is what stopped all of these on this side from sprouting. So that's going to be the game plan, and I'm going to try to figure out how to do that for my individual little pots too. Alright, because now I am not one known to leave well enough alone, I've decided that we're going to do another kind of side experiment here. And what I've decided to do was to take 2 of my sprouted garlic, and, well, I'm going to try to take 2 if I have enough potting soil, which there's something going on with potting soil that you guys need to look at too. If I have enough soil already prepared for both of these containers, I'm going to go ahead and up pot these into here just to be able to bury them into the soil. That will also mean that when it comes time to transplanting, I'm either A, going to have another bigger pot, or I'm going to have to find a spot that has very deep and a very large amount of space that I can conform around this and then drop the garlic into. So before we get there, let me let you know the varieties. This one is a Leningrad, and this one is purple stripe. But like I said, before we get to actually trying to plant in these garlic, let me show you to my prepared potting soil mix, because there's something here I want to sort of kind of go over and why I'm not worried about it. Okay, so what you see here is my prepared bedding, and all it really is some sifted pro mix, my worm castings for my own worm bins, and some Espoma Garden Tone fertilizer. Now, the white stuff you're seeing is in fact mold, and that's not a bad thing, because both the Espoma Garden Tone as well as the Pro Mix have mycorrhizal fungi in there. So this is a bloom basically, because I moistened the soil once I mixed it in so that the worm castings can disperse in the mix, helping to start breaking down the fertilizer I put in. Now, this is the same recipe that I use for my indoor seed starting mix. The only difference really here is the amounts of both the worm casting and the granular fertilizer that I use for the outdoor mix versus the indoor mix. I would not have went as heavy on both of those, both the worms and castings and then the granular fertilizer, if these were going to be indoors. But the garlic bulbs are going to need this to basically inoculate the roots and help the growing. So what we're going to do here is break this up by mixing it in, and then it'll all go away, but it's still there for when we pack it into the seed cells. We really want all those, the fungal hyphae and pathways that they've already made in here. We still want them. We're just chopping them up, blending them through a little bit, and as long as you don't mind a little bit of the white mold that you're probably going to see on top of the surface at some point or another, it's fine. It's not harmful. It's just that some people sometimes would rather not see all that on the surface because they think it looks unsightly. Since I know what this is and why it's there, I'm fine with it. And once again, it's staying outside in the garage and not coming inside the house. Inside the house, it would probably bloom a lot more just because of the temperature being warmer. So, no worries there. Everything is nice and blended in. We're not losing anything. We're just breaking up all that mold that was on top into the mix like it was. And there we are. Okay, I want to give you guys a little quick view of some of the roots. There's not a whole lot here. There's a little bit here. Some more here. So, like I said, not a whole lot. But there are some. And that's a good thing. We're trying to keep this ball together because, of course, our garlic is right in the middle. Place her down, and now we're going to just start filling it up. Oh, and the variety, purple stripe. And we're done for this part. So all we got left to do now is just water her in. Oh, and we stick our little plant tag There we go. Alright, let's take a real good look. There we go. We got a decent root ball. Oops. We're gonna put that right back on top. Okay, now that we've got both of those settled, now all I'm going to do is just water them in a little bit so that they, bed in. And I'm only going to do like one of these up top for each of these containers, and then I'll probably just fill in the bottom with water and then let it wick up from the bottom just to make sure this whole column of dirt is, sufficiently moist. Okay, and there you have it. We have up potted this garlic and have another variable for this whole, potted garlic when you don't have any room. So let's go ahead and end this out. This is all just meant to be an experiment, not one that I've done before, or I didn't even research any of this. I just basically decided, hey, it makes sense to me logically, why wouldn't it work? And to that point, it has. The problem now is, like I said, you can't predict what Mother Nature's going to do. She has the final say. Now, I'm just trying to figure out what's my best plan going forward, seeing that, we've still got all of January and at least halfway through February. And I know I can't really just stick them outside because the pots are so small that there's not a whole lot of soil to keep them from freezing solid, because if that happens, they die. Now, do I try to see maybe if I take some of my stuff out of the raised bed that's not garlic out of there, and then just take every last one of those little containers and put those out there to cover up? I mean, that is a possibility. And depending on what the temperatures do here in the next week or two, because there's going to be a fine line where it's just going to be like, I have to make a decision, and whatever the decision is, I have to stick to it, and that's coming up real soon, because like I said, it's going to be just getting colder and colder, and it's just going to be easier to get it done while it's warmer. So we'll see. I'm sure I'll figure something out, or I won't, and it can be a complete failure, or might still be a complete and total surprise to me. Either way, I'm gonna go ahead and keep updating this just so you guys can have a few takeaways out of this whole ordeal, since this is brand new to me. With that, I'm gonna leave you guys to it, and if you have any kind of comments that you have, put them down into the comment section. I like reading them, I like responding to them, and I, for the most part, still get to all of them. So, I'm your boy, Big Wheel Dog 82, in the soil, and I'm out of here, guys. See you next time.